Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hey Eintracht Frankfurt podcast, Bundesliga podcast, covering everything that there is to know in the English language about Eintracht Frankfurt. If we're talking about the Frauen, best club in the Bundesliga. If we're talking about the Männer, I mean, they're still in the top part of the table, but I don't want to call them the best club. Yeah, and bias, etc. Garret Kobas here in Metro Detroit. February the 10th already, 2025. Time continues to fly at a rapid fire pace. And joining me seems to be lately always like usually my 1A and sidekicks, talking about some things. John Ben, still in Delaware, soon to be Virginia. How are you, my friend?
Good. I actually am in Virginia right now, heading back to Delaware tomorrow morning. So got to get up early and beat the rush hour around DC to get to work on time in Maryland. So, we
were talking a little bit about the big event that happens here, the second Sunday in February. It seems like the Super Bowl. And I got to ask you, was traffic for you slower today? Or because for me, I didn't really have much on the road for me. Normally, because, it's normally when you expect something like that, President's Day is next Monday. I have to work, but many people don't. So I didn't have a big drive in today for some odd reason, because people were probably like, fuck this, I'm not working. What about you?
Thankfully I did not have to work today. But apparently traffic in the area was worse than normal because federal workers were going back into work today. So yeah, but an anomaly just in the DC area.
So hope all that enjoyed the game, had things. Obviously, some people that we know didn't really enjoy the game for reasons. I also will say this, as far as what ads go, I really enjoyed the Nike women's. I know there was the big ad and then there was the secondary one in flag football. It does show you that Nike can do great things. Unfortunately, not so much with our kits on there, but I had to. I can't let it slip away. You know who doesn't also let it slip away right now? This Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen team. Matchday was a Matchday 14 of the Frauen Bundesliga that took place this past weekend, and John could let me know if I was off in the Matchday. Going into the Sunday yesterday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff, Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen were rewarded early, but without having to kick a ball, thanks to VfL Wolfsburg drawing 0-0 with FC Köln.
Oh yeah.
50+ donor, folks. This is your Super Bowl right here. Amongst other things, y'all are crushing it and other things, but congratulations, well done to all Cologne crew for that. Big thank you for that. And going into Sunday, there was a chance to make some ground on at least Wolfsburg, who were in third, and Bayern Munich had a 1-0, fell behind 1-0 to TSG Hoffenheim. Unfortunately, they did Bayern things and scored 3. This team, it seems like this Bayern Frauen team likes falling behind. They like challenging themselves, it seems like. There's a reason why we'll talk about that. But now we got to talk about, the main event that I came home from my endeavors. I was like, I'll go to the zone, top of the table, right? You top of the table versus bottom of the table. Nope, 9. Zone. I understand you may want to have a couple matches a week. But if you're trying to grow women's sports, in particular women's football, out into the market on there, perhaps cover more than 2 games a week, pick up feeds so people can watch this and then see this and then learn about this.
To be fair, they do show 4 of the 6 matches in a week, but they only show 1 a day. And when the feeds are there, like, they can easily just put it out there. There's no reason not to, especially when you've got a top of the table team playing in the late game on a Sunday. It seems silly to me. I understand that they wanted to put the Bayern Hoffenheim game on. That is objectively a better matchup than our game, but again, it's at an earlier time. But
Yeah.
again, the DAZN, they're probably not necessarily paying attention to just the U.S. market at all. So I understand that. But again, the feeds are there for them to just broadcast. So I don't really get it.
So as we're like seeing this and checking our FOP mobs and Twitters and other things for recaps, the Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen decided to keep us active, motivated, excited, wondering, how are these goals being scored, which you eventually saw in the highlight. Why? You said goals. Yeah, we said goals in plural. We had talked before, I feel like you and I talked about this, if not before Christmas, after Christmas, about matches where you could see scorelines like this. And I've obviously, we had one earlier in the year with 8-0 over Köln. However, we decided that 8 wasn't enough. In order to be fine, we needed 9. Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen 9, Turbine Potsdam 0. Was it a match or was it a match? Was it a training session or was it just a one-side sparring session? Holy shit. Geraldine Reutler with 2 goals in the 3rd and the 11th minutes. Laura Fragging in between those 2 in the 11th. Lara Prajnikar. We've talked about it. We've been wondering. It happened. John is showing off. I don't have a Frauen kit. I'll wait until the Adidas deal because #3StripeLife. And I was happy if she was going to get 1. She got a hat trick. Goals in the 23rd, 73rd, and 87th minute. In between her 2nd and 3rd goals was Nicola Anyomi in the 80th minute because Nicola Anyomi does Nicola Anyomi things. Romania Chiba in the 83rd minute. And then also Pernille Sandvig in the 92nd minute. 40 shots, 21 on target.
That's just
fuck.
That almost doesn't even count as the same competition. I mean, I realize that they got a red card in the 71st minute, so we got 5 goals after that. But again, we were up 4-0 before then, just completely dominating the game. They only had 2 shots on target, which, God, I mean, that is one of the most lopsided football games I've ever seen a stat line from. Wish we could have watched the whole game. It would have been a lot of fun. But I had to settle for it was about an 8-minute highlight video, so we'll take that.
First fucked up stat time of the night. Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen scored more goals than they had corners in the match. 9 goals scored to 8 corners. That's we're already like giddy on that. Anything like we talked about Lara Prajnikar, who obviously Geraldine Reutler continuing to collect souls out there with another brace. Anyone else stood out to you from what you saw in the highlights or from what you were reading or seeing in ratings?
Yeah, from that highlight video, I thought Romania Chiba looked amazing. She looked so dangerous, making runs, passing the ball, everything. She's obviously a very talented player, and we've seen the flashes from her. Mostly she's come in as a late sub to do it, and I think this game showed that she deserves more minutes out there. I know we have a lot of depth in that attack, but Chiba's a good player. Why not put her out there? She's hungry, clearly, and performed very well today.
For such a deep squad that I feel like we have this year, especially compared to last season, this is what the downside of not getting out of that mini group and progressing. Mm-hmm. Granted, it means we can focus on one less competition, but this is such a deep squad that's meant for multiple competitions, I feel like. Yeah. But it's great to see on there. Not only was it a big result, a big weekend in terms because Wolfsburg dropped points, Bayer Leverkusen also dropped points, 1-1 draw to SKS Essen. Werder Bremen 1, RB Leipzig 4. We already talked about the Hoffenheim Bayern Munich match. So we're 14 matches in to the table. That ridiculously painful goal difference for Turbine Potsdam got worse for the reasons we talked about. 14 games played, no wins, 1 draw, 13 losses, 2 scored, 47 allowed, 9 of them. Actually, how many did Frankfurt put 6 on earlier in the year, right?
I believe so. I'll check it real quick. But yeah,
So,
it was a lot.
15 of the 47 goals that Turbine Potsdam have allowed have been because of Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen. 1 out of 3 ain't bad, homies. FC Carly Siena in 11th, no wins, 3 draws, 10 losses, 3 goals scored, 26 allowed. FC Köln, 1 win, 3 draws, 9 losses, 10 scored, 34 allowed, 6 points. They did gain 1. And there's actually two matchups that seem to need to be both teams that are playing on with 13. Freiburg's the other one. So Freiburg, Essen, Köln, and FC Karl Siena have played 1 match less.
Yeah. The Essen Köln rematch will be taking place tomorrow, and the Jena game today was canceled, so delayed to a later date. I'm assuming weather, but I didn't look up to see a reason.
Considering that we saw the artifact, what happened when we played on a pitch in Jena a week after a match that got called off, yeah, I can probably understand why, especially February in Germany. So we then go to, after Essen, Bremen, 20 points. There's an 11-point gap, John, between 8th and 9th in the Frauen Bundesliga. And so Bremen with 20 points in 8th, Freiburg 20 points in 7th, both 6 wins, 2 draws. Bremen with 1 more loss in that game, so Freiburg has a chance to pat some in their makeup game. Hoffenheim in 6th with 21 points, no draws, 7 wins, 7 losses, 25 scored, 21 allowed. Leipzig in 5th, 7 wins, a draw, 6 losses, 22 scored, 24 allowed. And then here's another gap. 8 points between 4th and 5th. Bayer Leverkusen, 9 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses, 24 scored, 13 allowed, but they've dropped 5 points recently, which is in the last 2 matches, which was something we probably weren't going to expect about because we've seen how difficult this team is to play against. VfL Wolfsburg, 10 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 33 scored, 10 allowed. That draw is also huge ahead of the other big ass thing that we're going to talk about because this is a monumental Frauen week. And second place Bayern Munich, 11 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss, 37 scored, 11 allowed. Level on points with Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen. However, this is where the goal difference comes in because Eintracht Frankfurt, 14 matches in, have still only allowed 7. What the fuck? Scored 50.
This is just getting to video game levels at this point.
Yeah.
50 in 14 games is insane.
This is like the Frauen Bundesliga version of the Jaguars going to Detroit to play the Lions. Sorry, bud. Sorry. Sorry.
Fair enough.
We almost... Brian's not here. Somebody's got to take it. We have Laura Freigen leading the Frauen Bundesliga for Eintracht Frankfurt with 12 goals. Reutler and Aniomi both with 8. Sheba 6. Darson 4. Prasnikar now in 6th with 3 goals. Balance is key and essential, not just in life, but for this Frauen side. Also, balance is keeping active, and we move to a midweek event taking place. Frauen Pokal time, and we are in the quarterfinal stages of the DFB Frauen Pokal. All 4 matchups taking place this coming Wednesday, February 12th. Bayer Leverkusen, Werder Bremen. They'll take on Hoffenheim, Wolfsburg, Hamburg, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and then the one that's the titanic big matchup, big punching weight, all that. Bayern Munich hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. Last year in the DFB Frauen Pokal, this was a semifinal matchup. This year it's a quarterfinal. 12:30 p.m. Eastern. 1-1 draw, but the first time both sides met each other earlier in the year. We talked about this Bayern Munich team just recently about seeming to be resilient, finding ways to, they don't mind falling behind. They find a way to get it done. However, they are a little bit banged up, if I recall correctly. Is this perhaps, John, the best time to take on this Bayern Munich Frauen team?
Yeah, for sure. They're extremely injured. But even if they weren't, we have played this side very well the past few years. We drew 1-1 earlier this year. We only lost in a shootout in the semifinal of the Pokal last year. We drew them at the Allianz last year as well in the league. These have all been really tight, low-scoring games. Very few chances overall for both sides. And I think that's going to be the story of this game as well. That Bayern side still has a lot of quality, even despite their injuries. They're still a really good side. They've got a lot of good young players that are hungry. So I'm excited and extremely nervous about this matchup.
This gives me... I'm trying to think the last time I was this nerve-wracked about a Frauen matchup, because I didn't see the semifinal last year. But this is probably reminding me of Benfica around Christmas time in December 23 for that, in the Frauen sense. But this is monumental. Do you think that if the Frauen progress to the semifinals by winning in Bayern, how much of a spark do you think that does to an already motivated side in this title race?
It would be absolutely massive. I think that this week is make or break for this team, right? We have the Pokal matchup here. We have a massive matchup on the weekend. It's I think that it's a necessary win to keep the confidence up with this team. If we lose to Bayern again and get knocked out from the Pokal by them again, it would be definitely a bit heartbreaking. I'm really hoping that whatever happens, win or lose, it doesn't go to extra time as well. We don't need to waste that extra energy going into the weekend as well. If we do win this match, I think there would be no doubt in all the players' minds that there's no reason for us to go and lose the league at this point.
Dust settles Wednesday, hopefully closer to 2:30 Eastern and not 3 o'clock. What you thinking?
I'll give it 2-1 for Eintracht Frankfurt.
Goal scorers:
Freigang and Yomi.
It's been the last 0-0 at Allianz. And the 1-1 the Pokal Frauen last year. Penalty law and with the penalties. 2-1 Bayern in the league. Frankfurt last year, I feel like. I think felt like Bayern.
So yeah.
1-1 earlier this year in Munich. Bayern early. Eintracht equalize. Horrific conditions. Yes, there's a defensive record in Frauen Bundesliga, but no, I'm not picking a clean sheet on this. I think because Bayern Munich are going to should find a way to get one. They have the quality. John, you talked about it. Even no matter how banged up they are, that's a quality side. They should have one. But yeah, I agree with John. I tried Frankfurt, and they're going to get two. Reuther and Yomi. That's who my two are. Big matchup. Winner to get to you able to beat Bayern and get to the semifinal. That is the two out of way, especially with some other matchups that are taking place in this round of quarterfinals. It does not, as we mentioned, this does not get easier at all. Now on to the Frauen Bundesliga Matchday 15. Friday starts things off. Leipzig Turbine Potsdam at 12:30. Yeah, I'm not watching that one. Saturday, 6 a.m., Freiburg Köln. 8 a.m., SGS Essen Karlsruhe Jena. Then we have, so this is, Okay, good. No, I had a brain fart for a moment because I was looking at the results and I saw, wait, isn't it Jena Freiburg? And I was like, oh, no, wait, that's what, never mind. Sunday, 3 matchups. Hoffenheim, Bayer, Leverkusen at 8 a.m. Bayern Munich, 9:15, hosting Werder Bremen. 10:45 Eastern. VfL Wolfsburg, Eintracht Frankfurt, Frauen. I felt like last year in the quarters we had this shit too. It was Pokal midweek, Wolfsburg away. Back again. First time these teams faced each other earlier in the year. A surprising result. Eintracht Frankfurt, Frauen 3, VfL Wolfsburg 0. I mean, Wolfsburg maybe, I don't say reeling after that draw. They're still I haven't paid attention obviously to the Frauen Champions League with us as much with us not in it. Is Wolfsburg still in that front also too, or did they not get out of the group?
Yeah, they are through, and they will be playing Barcelona in the quarterfinals in that. So tough matchup for them.
When's that matchup?
Not till March.
Okay.
So there's some time. The Women's Champions League goes from the group stage straight to a round of 8. So no round of 16 to have to deal with fixtures in February.
So with all that being said, both teams having to play a few days after a Pokal match.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you feeling about this one?
I feel good about it. I don't know. I think that Wolfsburg is extremely dangerous. They've got a lot of really, really fun attackers, but I think they're still weak defensively. And now that Merle Froms has announced that she will not be returning to Wolfsburg next year, they have demoted her to the number 2. I think that gives us an advantage as well. So I think there's a real possibility to get another win against Wolfsburg. I'm not going to guarantee a win by any means, but I think it's a good chance. It's going to be a hard game for sure. We have to go to their place. We haven't played them super well there over the past few years, but yeah, I think I like our chances in this one.
What do you think score-wise?
I'm going to go 3-1 Eintracht.
Damn.
Yeah, it might be a bit aggressive, but I think we can do it.
Chris would be proud of you for that. Who are your goal scorers there?
Oh, man. Reutler and Yomi, and why not a Chiba off the bench goal at the end?
Romina Chiba leading the Frauen Bundesliga in goals per 90, 1.71 goals per 90 minutes. Also probably helped that she got, 3-4 goals as a sub in one of the matchups earlier this year.
She had a 15-minute hat trick, or not even that long.
That was against Freiburg, right?
Oh, geez, I don't remember. It was not against a great opponent, to be fair, but still.
Yeah, Freiburg on October 14th.
Yep, there you go.
Which was 5 days before the matchup that producer Nathan went and saw.
3 goals, 90-plus minutes.
Yeah. But he's going to be like, why is this bit continuing? Because it's tradition. I said I wouldn't pick a clean sheet when we played Bayern Munich because they always find a way to score. We've set precedent earlier this year, though, with VfL Wolfsburg. VfL Wolfsburg 0, Eintracht Frankfurt Frauen 1, because I think it's going to be a close matchup. Go on, Yomi.
Picking a clean sheet, man, that is bold against Wolfsburg, but hey, we're only allowing half a goal per game, so it's possible. It's possible.
I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the Frauen, right?
Yeah.
We'll explain why we feel the way we do after we go to our traditional segment. It is hashtag what are we drinking? been a festive weekend here in the States. Super Bowl, obviously other things in there. Pistons wins for me, even though the wins, on Saturday. John, what about you? Food, bevs of choice lately?
Yeah, right now I'm having a Surfside. I don't know, been kind of on them the past couple of days, so that's good. Saturday we did a watch party for the game against Mönchengladbach with the DC EFC. We went to Four Courts, which is an Irish bar here in Arlington, and I had more than my fair share of Guinness there, so that was fun.
So yeah, for me right now, I got some water stuff, and maybe I might have a tea before bed, although it's 9:30 here right now, so maybe I won't. But whatever it is you're eating and drinking, whenever it is you're eating and drinking and checking this out, we say prost and cheers. So in the audio part, you might hear a little bit of a break. In the video portion, we keep going. Now onto the Männer, because we have to talk about them. So let's go in real quick. I go on to here. We did talk about, we got last Monday, transfer day had ended, and that was Michy Batshuayi was the latest to join this Eintracht Frankfurt side that resumed and had their Bundesliga matchup taking place against Borussia at Borussia Mönchengladbach, the 12:30 Tippspiel on a match day that match day 21 of the Bundesliga. Earlier fixtures leading into that saw Bayern Munich open things up with a 3-0 win against Werder Bremen. Borussia Dortmund 1, VfB Stuttgart 2. Happy for those that like to see Dortmund suffer, but unfortunate in the points gap in the rate in positions between third as well as fourth and fifth. Freiburg 1, Heidenheim 0. Hoffenheim 0, Union Berlin 4. Union Berlin discovering how to score goals.
That's it's something else. And apparently Ilzer is very much on the hot seat now at Hoffenheim, which is kind of wild considering they just brought him in.
Yeah, it's a lot of resources too that they made a move on there. So it's dangerous ground you're doing there. Mainz 0, Augsburg 0, Wolfsburg 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Leverkusen dropping points again. And then we're going to do the 2 Sundays and then go back to ours. Holstein Kiel 2, Bochum 2. None of the bottom teams can gain ground on each other. And then RB Leipzig, unfortunately, were able to gain ground, defeating St. Pauli 2-0. Why did we say Stuttgart and RB Leipzig gain ground? Because Borussia Mönchengladbach won, Eintracht Frankfurt won. Matchup that, I'm not going to lie, for the first 25, 30 minutes or so, I had it on, but it was background noise to on there. From what I was hearing in that, it seemed like Borussia Mönchengladbach were the ones on the front foot to start off the match. 26 minutes in, Tim Kleindienst, the rewarded goal. However, this side of Dino Topmuller seems to, on most days, not all days, occasionally likes getting a fire lit up their ass. Result being Hugo Ekitike, was it Ansgar Knopf shot that hit the crossbar that then
I can't even remember, but yeah, the crossbar and then Ekitike putting in the rebound.
Yep, Hugo Ekitike has been popping goals in fairly well, responding as in who was going to fill the Omar Marmoush hole. 4 goals for him in his last 4 Bundesliga matches, and 5 in his, I think it was 6 and 8, I think, for the restart right now, or something along those lines. Either way, solid work there. And Eintracht Frankfurt did get on the front foot of a match. A starting formation that saw Trapp and goal, Christensen, Tuta, Teat, Brown, and then Knopf, Gary, Larson, Mario Götze, and then the front 2 of Hugo Ekitike, and maybe to our surprise, Michy Batshuayi. Kamujan came on in the 57th minute, and Cuckoo and Højlund in the 75th. Eli Wahi, Frankfurt debut in the 83rd, Namandi Collins in the 84th. And for a matchup that saw a very one-sided expected goals, XG, Mönchengladbach 0.38 to a 2.15 of Eintracht Frankfurt, 15 shots to 8, 7 on target to 3. all of these things. 2 woodwork shots for Eintracht Frankfurt, 3 Gladbach 1, Frankfurt 1. So the unbeaten streak against Mönchengladbach continues. The last side of Mönchengladbach defeated Eintracht Frankfurt April of 2021. But once again, 2 points dropped for the 3rd consecutive Bundesliga match. While we are unbeaten in 2025, alarm bells?
I don't think it's alarm bells because I still think we played all right enough. We really did let Gladbach control that game until Kleindienst's goal. But you know what? After they went up 1-0, I think it was a pretty decent response from us. Mostly controlling the game for the rest of the way. Tied it up. Probably should have had a second goal. With sometimes you're hot, sometimes you're cold. Right now we're just cold, and I think the team is still playing well enough, and I think we still have enough offensive firepower within us to make up for losing Omar Marmoush. And so for me, yeah, it's not alarm bells at all. It's definitely a rut that we want to get out of, and hopefully very quickly. Especially with the Europa League round of 16 coming up in March. But at the same time, even if we lose next week, we still will be holding on to the 3rd place spot. I mean, obviously a lot tighter than we would want given where we were early in January. But our fight is ultimately for that 3rd or 4th place spot in the Bundesliga, and I think we're still in a very, very good position to do that. Drawing instead of winning sucks, but at least it's still some points here and there. Not ideal, but it's okay. It's okay.
I feel better about this draw than the Wolfsburg one.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the tough part is having control, having shots, having chances, but not really getting, anything out of it. That's the painful part of it. What does Uzun have to do to get a start?
I don't know. I was honestly really shocked to see Batshuayi starting over him. I mean, he has gotten a couple starts here in 2025. He's put in the performances, in my opinion, to deserve it. I was really shocked to see Batshuayi as the choice up front and not either Uzun or Wahi. I feel like both of them should clearly be above a 32-year-old Batshuayi right now. But yeah, I don't know. And again, Uzun can also play in other positions. You can start him in one of those wide midfield spots as well. And
right.
He's shown enough in his playing time recently to deserve starting minutes.
And then another name, even Derek Ray was talking about him. Which when Derek Ray's talking about you, you're fucking up. Because Derek Ray's caught your eye. And that is Skiri. Does that mean you put Götze centrally in there? Do you do Højlund? I mean,
I would put Højlund just because I think he's someone we need to develop. He's still extremely young, kind of raw, but there's clearly some talent there. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from him. But again, even if it's not him, put Dahoud in. Someone like Skiri played decently for, our first 3 league matches in this calendar year. And then he was just playing every single game, and it's clearly taken a toll. And I don't know what to do there. He clearly isn't the player he was at Köln anymore. And it's not like he's super old. He's only 29, but he also is one of those players who just runs. Like he runs, covers more of the pitch than most players every year. And I think just eventually that takes a toll on you as a footballer. So we need to do some more rotating with him. When he's fully fit, I think he can still be a good player for us, but he should not be a starter every single game.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. And I think that's the thing. I think it's start one of Götze and Skiri. Can't start both. And I think I get the engine, but at the same time, you're in two competitions. You have some massive matches coming up in the Bundesliga as well. You need your guys in as close to top form as well. So it'll be interesting to see what we have coming in for the next match day, which is this coming weekend. We are going to be at match day 22. Going into match day 22, the table is looking like this. VfL Bochum, 11 points, rock bottom. Holstein Kiel, 13 points. 16th is Hoffenheim at 14 points. 4 points behind TSG Hoffenheim with 18, but Hoffenheim, who knows, man? They're not showing a whole lot to get out of it. St. Pauli in 14th with 21 points. Union Berlin at 24 and 13th place. 12th, VfL Augsburg, FC Augsburg. There we go. Getting my fucking wording stuff confused. 27 points. Only 2 points ahead of Augsburg is Borussia Dortmund at 11. Wow, how the mighty have fallen.
It's going to be hard as hell for them to make Europe at this point. I think they can still do it. They're close enough, but man, it would be funny to see them miss out completely.
The Dortmund contingent of the 50-plus donor Discord may not like the words that we're saying, but oh well.
I think they're all a little upset at the direction of their club right now, so maybe if it forces some change, they won't mind too much.
Yeah, I'll give them the credit though on there. They lay into them more than I've seen them give joy. So that tells you something for sure on that. Werder Bremen in 10th with 30 points, level on points with Augsburg, who are in 9th. Augsburg have a much better goal difference, +8 to Bremen's -5. And then also adding in 1 point ahead of the two of them is Mönchengladbach. 8th place, 31 points, 31 goals allowed, 33 scored. Kleindienst is not, if he's not at half, Kleindienst has 13 of the 33 goals.
Yeah.
Great move of business.
Yeah. There's a reason he's going to be Germany's starter here.
Which is a wild fact. Who would have had, if you would have said that last year, you would have said that's fucked up. Well, here we go. Mainz, 32 points. They are in 7th. 33 scored, 24 allowed. While if you are a Mainz supporter, if you said this at the top of the year, you'd probably be like, yeah, let's go. Everything on that. This is where I'm going to be. This is where it is getting interesting for them now. Of their last 5 matches, 3 losses, a draw, and the one went over Stuttgart, and obviously they beat Bochum to start the restart. Can they maintain, or are they about to fall off?
I think they'll find their ground again. I think it's just one of those up and downs kind of thing, and right now they're on a little bit of a down, but I still think they're playing really nice football. Burkhardt was obviously injured. He's now just kind of coming back to full fitness, so once he's fully healthy, I think that really gives Mainz a boost because he's a great striker, obviously. And, yeah, I think Mainz is going to be right there in the European fight up until the end.
So then also now going in the 6th, 1 point ahead of them is Freiburg with 33 points. However, 28 goals scored, 36 allowed.
Yeah.
So this is a Freiburg team, obviously they had the managerial change, and they're in 6th. They're in a European spot, but proving that you can get them on some days. So it's not as exactly you're going to play Freiburg and they're not going to give you a damn inch. So interesting to take note of.
They're allowing way too many goals for where they are. Yeah.
A team that in 5th, while only 2 points ahead of them, they've allowed 5 goals less, which is still a big amount for that, but they've scored 11 more, and that's VfB Stuttgart. 1 point ahead of them in 4th at 36 points is unfortunately RB Leipzig. who are seeming to click their group, although they keep running into their players getting sent off in matches. Orban was the latest one that took place yesterday. 3 points ahead of them is Eintracht Frankfurt in third. 46 scored, 28 allowed. But I'm really lamenting the fact right now that we have had 3 game matches in a row with a draw, and the previous 2 weekends were opportunities to gain ground on both Stuttgart and Leipzig, and they didn't capitalize.
Yep.
And now you run into the buzzsaw where you have to play 1 and 2. You have to play 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 to close the year out. Not consecutive, but before the season ends.
And we have to play 1 and 2 in consecutive. Thankfully, it's before Europa League restarts, or for us, but yeah. That's
moody.
an adventure for sure.
So fucking moody. Second place, Bayer Leverkusen, 46 points, 7 draws by them this year. On that, and then Bayern Munich, 8 points clear, 17 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, 65 scored, 19 allowed. Yeah, I don't want to say they are taking it back, but unless they choke, they're taking it back.
Anything less than a Leverkusen win against Bayern this weekend, I think that Bayern has the title almost locked up at that point. They've been the best team this year. I don't think they've always looked the most convincing at all. I think they still have a lot of defensive issues that need solving, but Leverkusen also hasn't looked their best, and they dropped points again here this weekend. I mean, just not quite able to keep up the standard that they had last year.
Bayer Leverkusen, for example, 1 point against RB Leipzig in 2 matches. Both matches they blew 2-0 lead. Mm-hmm. So, which is something you would not have expected on that team last year. So, it's a very interesting situation, to say the least, for sure. Now we talked about where we're at after match day 21. Let's go into match day 22. Augsburg Leipzig starts things off 2:30 p.m. on Friday. Bochum Dortmund at 9:30. Oh, that would be great. Pauli Freiburg at 9:30. Union Berlin Borussia Mönchengladbach at 9:30. That actually might be a fun one for the neutral.
Look forward to that one.
Stuttgart Wolfsburg, another one. That's at 9:30. Tippspiel 12:30 Saturday. First versus second. Second hosting first, to be exact. Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich. Leverkusen 3-0 this fixture at the Bayer Arena in the last season. Can they make it 2 in a row? They're going to need that if they have a chance. Although, to be honest with you, selfishly, I'm going to be watching Crystal Palace Everton though, for obvious English Eagle reasons. Sunday, Werder Bremen Hoffenheim at 9:30. Heidenheim 1:30 taking on Mainz. And just before that, Eintracht Frankfurt Holstein Kiel. First matchup between the two sides this year in Kiel was Kiel 2, Frankfurt 4. Is this a trap game?
I don't think so. I think it's a chance for us to find our feet. 3 draws in a row now. It can't sit well with the players. Kiel, well, yeah, they've been scrappy here recently. We're getting them in our house. I think there's no reason for us not to take the game to Kiel. Yeah, they're going to be fighting for their lives because they're right down there. But they only drew Bochum. That can't feel good. It was a chance for them to make up a lot of ground, get ahead of Heidenheim even, but weren't able to do it. And I don't know. I think that this is a very, very winnable game for us here.
Where do you see it ending when it's all done?
I'll go 3-1 for us. I think it's a chance for us to get some goals. I think Ekitike will continue his streak. I think that Uzun hopefully gets a start, but if he doesn't get a start, I think he can get a goal off the bench. And I don't know who the third goal scorer is. Why not Batshuayi? I'm sure we'll see him in this game, given he started the last one.
See, here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, do we go Batshuayi starting, or is this going to be the starting debut for LA? Why? Yeah, Holstein Kiel have proven that they can score goals. Hermes in particular. There you have a couple other guys off the top. Let me bring this in there.
Shuto Machino, he got their goal against us, I believe, and he scored a handful for them this year. Pretty exciting player, but not always on the pitch for them. So we'll see. I think he could cause us some issues, though.
So I'm not going to say, when I look at this right now, Holstein and Kiel are going to be bagging at least one in the Volksstadion. I can't pick. I'm not picking Dino and the lads to get a clean sheet. Even if they play Balcom, we gave up 2 to Balcom. I'll go 3-1. I think that is, even if it's a comfortable 1-goal win, but to me the win needs to be comfortable. Yes, 3 points is 3 points, but for the momentum of this team moving forward to what is ahead, and you mentioned it: Bayern Munich away, Bayer Leverkusen at home, Union Berlin at home. You gotta get ready to get back into Europa soon. So you gotta strike while the iron's hot. And goal scorers, Hugo Ekitike continues to run a good form because I think he likes the pressure now of being the guy.
Yeah.
Kamujan and Wahi.
Yeah.
Because I think whether he starts or he should be getting, if he only gets 7-8 minutes again in this matchup, what the fuck did you spend all that money for, Marcus Kroesche and team?
To be fair, we did also bring in a record transfer last year in Ekitike, who was not ready, and that's turned out pretty well. But again, these are different circumstances than that transfer for sure.
Yeah, and I know there might have been a little bit of an injury bug with Wai coming in, but still, it's like he's ahead in the fitness game.
Yeah.
So even if it's subs role, it should be more like anything from 25 to 45 as opposed to 10.
I agree. I thought that if you're going to be bringing him on in that match, it should have been way earlier than the 83rd minute. Yeah, that seems so late.
So, yeah, we'll obviously see. I mean, we'll keep everybody in the loop. I would say, as far as what to expect, video stuff, recap the Adler Wednesday for the Frauen Pokal, and then look for one on Sunday that covers both it makes sense for Sunday because Frauen at Wolfsburg and the Männer home to Holstein Kiel. John, do we have anything that we want to promote? Anything that's coming up amongst the EFC support crews in the States in there?
Yeah, so there are a couple things coming up. Nothing for this weekend that I know of. Although given an 11:30 Sunday start, it's possible someone may set one up, but. Not this coming weekend, the weekend after against Bayern. EFC New York will be having a watch party out on Long Island. You can go check out their Facebook page for that. It'll be at Prost Grill and Garden in Garden City, New Jersey. And then March 1st for our match against Leverkusen. The details are not confirmed yet at all, but there will be a watch party in Philadelphia. I know Big Tom has been instrumental in setting that up. I think we might have some team officials there similar to the Chicago thing. So, keep your eyes out for a March 1st watch party for the match against Leverkusen in Philadelphia.
And obviously, we'll keep people in the loop if anything else that comes in. Detroit area folk, don't expect anything. It's cold. It's snowing. We're about to get another damn fucking vortex. Stay in your confines of those nearest and dearest with you and everything on there. Other ways you can check out anything. I was going to point out we're on a website. Twitter. HF Pod. Blue Sky. hfpod.bsky.social. Email for those that love to go that route. HeyAntrackFrankfurt@gmail.com. The YouTube, Hey Eintracht Frankfurt, hit that like, hit that subscribe, please and thank you. I want to do some live shit, but we need a lot more subscribers. Instagram, Hey Eintracht Frankfurt. Shout out to Matt in the New York area for covering all that, and always our continued thanks, Miles, for the branding, producer Nathan for all the production stuff in it, and me pot-shotting him for his unfortunate trip to Frankfurt earlier this year or late last year, but you get the gist. And condolences to Brian in Kansas City for whatever happened yesterday. Chris, Michigan, be all good. I know he's enjoying college hockey right now. Anything else we're talking about? We're forgetting, John?
Not that I can think of. You know what? Some just massive matches for Eintracht coming up. I'm excited. Very nervous, but excited. It's going to be a big make or break few weeks here for both the women and the men's sides.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think it's you're going to see what each side has in them, how they respond to pressure on there, and I hopefully that while it's looking maybe a little bit different these last couple weekends, hopefully that it's one dream, one goal, one vision, to paraphrase the Queen song of the mid '80s. John, where can people find you at these socials?
You can find me on Instagram at johnben33 or Blue Sky at johnben.bsky.social.
And you can find me Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Blue Sky at GM Comats. Obviously, the Blue Sky is gmcomats.bsky.social. Eintracht Frankfurt Detroit, currently on Twitter right now at Detroit SGE. Eventually there'll be a Blue Sky thing on there. I'm not saying when though. Life is life. So yeah, I think, like I said, a lot's coming in there. Hopefully the next time we gather for Eintracht Frankfurt podcast is my guess is 1 week from today. It'll be for joyous reasons, but diva can diva, so we shall see. For John and currently Virginia, back to be Delaware, soon to be Virginia again. Garrett here in Metro Detroit. Thanks to all for checking out another edition of the Hey Eintracht Frankfurt podcast. Until next time, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, auf Wiedersehen, und tschüss, und Fórza SGE.
50 and 14 games is insane. This is just getting to video game levels at this point. Hey, Eintracht Frankfurt, la 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 la. Hey, Eintracht Frankfurt, la 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 la.